Hello, hi, I'm Player. For those who don't know, I'm today just going to be reviewing the iPhone 11 versus the Samsung S20 as my iPhone died on me. So I've been using this phone for 2 years now. I got it in 2022, I believe. I did trade in from the iPhone 7 to the iPhone 11, and prior to that, I had an Android. I forget what Android it was, but the Android had so many issues that I just wanted an iPhone because I thought the Androids had issues. Now, going into this now, not the case. I just had a really old Android, and that thing would only run for 40 minutes of screen time without actually being on, so I had to play. It was a nightmare. It was a used phone that was handed down to me. So, yeah, but this phone, the charging point port on it died where I used third party chargers. I'm not gonna knock Apple for this. This was a me issue, not a them issue. And so I jiggle around at one point to get them to work, and then after a while that stopped working until I put it like slightly sideways, and now it doesn't charge at all. Last minute effort or last ditch effort for this, I went into a store and bought Qi charging because apparently these can do Qi charging and that worked, but it was really slow. So this only does 7.5 watts with Qi charging, and then when you're plugged in, it's about 15.5 watt charging. So it's a lot faster. Now, the Samsung S20, on the other hand, can do 15 watt Qi charging and now like 20 watt actual charging through the little port. The port on this, I feel like, is more secure than the iPhone one, and it's less of a headache because a lot more things that I have use the C charger. I'm going to be going over specs, so I'm going to get back to you once I pull up both specs for these. Pulled up versus.com, which will have the specs, so I'm going to compare the two real fast. I'm just going to read it off to you. So the Samsung S20 has the 28.62 more battery power, so 4,000 milliamp hour versus 3,110 milliamp hour battery. Screen density, that is a night and day difference. I can tell you that firsthand. That was the first thing I noticed. So much better. It's 1.74x higher pixel density, so 566 ppi versus 326 ppi pixels per inch, I believe is what that refers to. The iPhone, that's not the iPhone. The iPhone 11 has 720p, and it's good. It gets the job done. But when you open up this thing, it looks like you're looking through a mirror or like actual TV screen. It's a night and day difference. The colors on this is so much better. It's a lot more smoother. It's just cherry on top for me. I love watching videos on this phone. It's not a deal breaker for me, but it's quality of life. I like it. 4 gigabytes more of RAM. I've never had an issue with the iPhone. This has 4 gigabytes of RAM. The Samsung S20 has 8 gigabytes. I so far haven't yet to really notice the difference. Maybe, yeah. I don't even know where that would really come into play unless I'm playing video games on there, which I don't really do. Not sure where that would help benefit it unless I have more apps running in the background. But I don't typically keep apps running. Not a deal breaker for me, but for some people, I could see that being an issue if they're using games on the iPhone. Resolution, I think that's the same thing as pixel density, but okay. The higher resolution is 3.11x high resolution. Okay, here's the resolution specs of this. 1440 by 3200 pixels versus 828 by 1792 pixels. Now this can do 120 hertz. This can do 60 hertz. This for 120 hertz, you need to have the refresh the resolution 1440 versus 3200 or something. I forget the exact setting on that. I don't know. Main camera on this is 64 megapixels versus this, which is 12 megapixels, which I don't think that's actually true. I'm pretty sure they're both 12 megapixel cameras. It's just this one has better AI software for upscaling and everything. That's why they call it 64 megapixel. I think that's just a marketing term. I don't really think, because they're the same exact camera to my knowledge. It's just this one has a third one too. This has a faster CPU processing. This has 2.73 gigahertz. I'm just going to read off the specs because the way they label that is really bad. So this says 1.56 times faster CPU than the iPhone 11. That I had noticed because this opens up the screen a lot faster. Apps open up a lot faster. Everything loads a lot faster. So I can definitely tell you this is a faster processor. Don't know by how much because they have it by like 2x, 2.73 gigahertz, 4x, 2.5 gigahertz. 2x2 gigahertz, so like just the spec sheet makes no sense to me with how they labeled that. This has external memory slot. It has fingerprint scanner. Okay, they labeled that as a bonus with this fingerprint scanner. iPhone has a lot better face scanner, which is like a 3D scanner. I trust this more than I trust this with security, hands down. Now I'm actually going to get into my personal review on this and go from there. Okay, so this is going to be the Samsung S. No, this is the iPhone 11. And then this is a Samsung S20. And I'm just going to be going over what I like and hate about both of them. I've been using them for about a week now. So here's the comparisons I've made so far. So first of all, the iPhone is a lot heavier with the case on than the Samsung S20. Not sure by how much. The Samsung S20 seems lighter with this case. Got the same exact case for this, for that. But when this, died on me. The port no longer good. I can only Qi charge on this, and the Qi charge on this is 7.5 watts, while the charging is, I think, 15 watt. While the Samsung S20, surprisingly, can do Qi charging of 15.5 watts and charging of up to 20 watts, I believe, maybe a little bit faster. And it's just fantastic for me. I mean, it's just so much faster, so much better. My iPhone battery was also shot. It's at 83% capacity. While the Samsung, I have no idea what it's at, but it gets me a lot further along in the day, so I have no complaints with it. Camera quality on them, about the same. I've noticed no differences besides maybe the Samsung having a better selfie camera than the iPhone, but not 100% sure on that. The Samsung has a lot more customization versus the iPhone, where if I can log into it, just it doesn't do it justice with how much I can customize the Android over the iPhone. iPhone's so much more limited. Android a lot more freedom. Screen size, surprisingly, the iPhone seems like a smaller screen size despite it being a wider phone than the Samsung S20. I believe it's just the bezel size difference. And the fluidity of the Samsung is a lot faster than the iPhone. I just feel like the Android is a lot more faster and smoother of a screen. Now, this does run 120 hertz refresh if you're under 3800 resolution or something. It does 1440p at 120 hertz and lower at 120 hertz. The iPhone's only stuck at 720p, which I don't understand because these both came out, I believe, at 2020. I'm not sure how the Samsung is better than the iPhone in this regard. It doesn't make any sense to me. Now, I got the Samsung S20 off eBay. I got it used or open box. It was $179, but it came pink. Not that I care about the color. Versus the iPhone, which if I got refurbished was going to be $280, which I didn't understand because then I started looking at comparison because I couldn't afford that at the time. I was like, okay, let me look at other phone options. Saw the Samsung S20, looked at all the higher models. The S20 seems to be the flagship. Everything else just seems to be a slightly better battery version of it. While this one has the extra SIM card in it, I can stick in there for extra storage. It also does Qi charging where I could charge my iPhone with this phone, which is insanity to me because I've never heard of a phone that could do that. So if I just put it together, it's already full, so I can't do it. But when I put it together, it can start charging other devices, which is really cool. I like that feature personally because I just like features on the phone, even if they're kind of useless, but it can help me in the background. Or let's just say my girlfriend needs her phone charged and I can charge it with my phone. Or a friend of mine's, hey, I'm at 1% battery, I still have 50%. Can you charge it for real quick? No problem. Things I don't like about the Android that I like about the iPhone. One, security is a lot better on the iPhone versus the Samsung. The 3D scanner on here for your face is so much better, so much safer versus this. I don't even have security set up. I know I could do a fingerprint setup, which I'll probably end up doing that. The iPhone doesn't have as many ads with the apps as the Samsung does. The Samsung, for like every app, I feel like I have a ad, but I download the ones that don't have ads, so it's not that big of a deal. It's frustrating. Also, the iPhone, when you go on YouTube alone, like the app, there's no ads. While the Samsung, I have to go on Brave, which is a web browser, and it takes away all the ads. Some differences there. I'm not sure how iPhone operates in that regard. The iOS on the iPhone is pretty good, I would say. I never really had an issue with it. It's just very basic, very bland. I could only customize it so much, and you can organize your apps. But I mean, it works. It's a phone. Samsung S20, however, is more like my PC, where I can do full customization and whatever I want to do, it'll do for me. The only thing I don't like about it is the weather, which I just gotta set that up because I can just click on it and it'll show me everything versus before where it's like I have no idea. The Samsung S20 also has 5G. I don't think the iPhone does. Not that I've noticed that much of a difference between 5G and that, but I don't use my phone that much to really know. I just throw YouTube on there when I'm at work, and that's about the extent of when I use the phone, and obviously for phone calls and texting and scrolling on social media here and there, but other than that, no big difference. The best part about this phone, though, is a battery for this is $15. So if this battery starts to go, which so far, this after 8 hours is down to 38%. This after 8 hours is down to 58%, 68%, 48%, somewhere around there. I say it like that because it depends on what apps are running in the background. Because the iPhone, I believe the apps stop when you go on a different app. The Samsung, they all run if you have them open. So you just have to remember to close your apps. To my knowledge, I'm not sure if that's true, but that's what I've seemed to notice so far. The iPhone also, I feel like, has a little bit more better features like FaceTime and all that, while the Android does not have that. So that's a feature I'm going to miss, but I'll take it because, again, A new battery for the iPhone to have someone replace is $180, and if you do it yourself, I believe it's locked by a serial number. I could be wrong with this. Don't quote me on that. So if I put the different battery in here, it may say serial number needed, need an Apple program to match or something with the motherboard. Or the Samsung, I just buy a battery for $18, brand new, plug it in here, and it just works. And the total cost of that would be $28 because you have to buy the backing and the waterproofing. So the Samsung S20 for me will last a whole lot longer because I can do everything myself in return in regards to repairs besides the screens. But I think the screen on this is a lot harder than the screen on the iPhone 11. I believe this is sapphire glass. While the iPhone, I don't know what it is. So that's my comparison so far on what I like and don't like about these phones. And I'm going to see how this holds up from this review because it's only a week in. I still got to do some fine tuning with the Android, still set up everything on the Android. While the iPhone did just work for me. I never really had an issue with it besides updates and not having enough storage because I always filled this phone. So this phone has 64 gigabytes of storage. I think there's different models that have different higher ones, like the iPhone 11 Pro or something. The Samsung has 128 gigabytes by default, and you have another SIM card you stick in there with another 128 gigs. So you have like a stupid amount of storage, and it's cheaper phone, which I don't understand. I guess the iPhone holds its value better. So I'll leave a link to where I bought this phone if you're curious and interested. But that's been my experience so far. Player signing off.